Yasuke is a samurai legend. He's famous for being the only samurai in history of African origin. He's also known for serving as a retainer under the legendary Japanese daimyo Oda Nobunaga. You might at first be thinking that this is just a fictional creation for 2020 politics, but Yasuke was very much a real person. There is no records of Yasuke's date or country of birth. What is known, however, is that Yasuke arrived in Japan with an Italian Jesuit. It was on an inspection tour that appears in recorded history between 1579 and 1582. In 1579, his arrival in Kyoto, the capital at the time, caused such a sensation that people climbed over one another just to get a glimpse of him. Some were apparently even crushed to death. Within a year, Yasuke went from being a bodyguard for Jesuits to achieving Japan's warrior class, the samurai. Before long, he was speaking Japanese fluently and riding alongside Oda Nobunaga in battle. He was actually one of the many Africans to come with the Portuguese to Japan during the Nanban trade. He was also present during the Honnoji incident where Nobunaga committed seppuku, ritualistic suicide. After that, Yasuke disappeared from all historical accounts. It's thought that he was brought back into the hands of his former Jesuit owners after his samurai employment was cut short, but it's still a mystery. After Yasuke disappeared from all historical accounts, it's thought that he might have been brought back into the hands of his former Jesuit owners after his samurai employment was cut short, but it's still a mystery. That's about the extent we know about Yasuke. The rest of his history is heavily speculated. There's been books, manga, movies, and anime all based on Yasuke. Some of them you might actually remember, like Afro Samurai. There was also supposed to be a movie about Yasuke's life, and it was even gonna star Chadwick Boseman. Unfortunately, following the actor's tragic death, the film was cancelled. So Yasuke was definitely a real person, and it sure would be great to have a historical account about his life with lots of research and love and care as to better understand him, right? Well, good news, Netflix just released a new anime series and is covering the historical life of
Oh my god! Oh my god!
creator and director LeSean Thomas, famous for The Boondocks and Black Dynamite, and writer Nick Jonas Jr. are reimagining this historical legend in the form of a Netflix anime, and it just released. It follows the life of Yasuke with the added bonus of magic, werewolves, mechas, and some nods to history. Basically, this is not at all what I wanted, but I still enjoy anime, so I gave it a chance. One really stupid thing about the show I want to get out of the way is the fact that we get these characters and they make such a big deal of the fact that Yasuke is black, but no one really questions the wizards, monsters, demons, giant mechas, suits, and full-on robots running around Japan. Like, we have an African samurai, which was strange for feudal Japan because of limitations in travel and all that, but you're telling me that in this new reality with advanced technology, magic, and creatures all being accepted as normal, that an African is the most abnormal thing you've ever seen. Also, the setting looks like a realistic recreation of feudal Japan, from architecture to the outfits people wear. And this means with all the fantastical stuff like magic and robots that none of this translated to similar advancements in, say, electricity or transportation. Also, the normal people of Japan who the protagonist interacts with on a day-to-day basis don't question who he is or where he's from, but a Russian woman that transforms into a bear monster and works for an evil Christian missionary is totally just blown away by Yasuke's presence. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think this is really dumb writing. I get the fact that it's supposed to be a kind of wacky anime, but at least try to make it make sense, right? Another problem I saw right away is that it follows some very lazy cliche tropes that we see way too much. Netflix does this a lot. You get female warriors that are just overpowered, and you get the bad man character that tells them girls can't fight. You also get the mustache twirling evil priest man trope. This is where a supposed Christian is depicted as comically evil, like saying Bible verses and murdering everyone. This one even transforms into a monster that shoots electricity. Luckily he's only in one episode, but still it was very cringy. So, I don't know, maybe it's just me and I'm just nitpicking, and maybe these won't bother anyone else. So, anyway, the anime opens in the middle of a victory on the battlefield. There's swordsmen, archers, mechas, and magic. As the battle rages on, we see Yasuke witness his lord commit seppuku. It then jumps 20 years later and we see Yasuke, and he's a recluse and hardly even has a purpose. He has gotten stuck in a dead-end job as a boatman in a small village, but he's liked enough by the village kids, and we'll see him toss them a fish or two and give them some sword fighting tips. But soon he is pulled back into his old sword fighting duties when a mother begs him to transport her sick daughter, Saki, to a special doctor. She also happens to have mysterious magical powers that she can't control. Yasuke's honor and abilities are then put to the test. We also get a bunch of flashbacks where we see Yasuke and he reminisces about his past as a samurai retainer under Oda Nobunaga. In spite of the samurai opportunity he was given, Yasuke is constantly reminded how he must prove himself as an elite guard. So, despite a somewhat compelling setup, the story has trouble fleshing out any real emotional baggage that we're supposed to feel for Yasuke. This show is also too fast-paced, and it's to the point where it doesn't give enough time to unravel Yasuke's past. So we don't feel anything for his relationship and allegiance to Nobunaga. The show is only 6 episodes long and takes place in both past and present. What ends up happening is it shows too much of the modern story and not enough of Yasuke's past, so he doesn't get a good enough development. It's only halfway through the series when the lone warrior and his child companion have time to connect that we feel anything. Actually, no, that's a lie. You never feel anything for any of the characters in this whole series. It's almost like the writers wanted to build a relationship between Saki and Yasuke, but forgot how to and just gave us an ending. The little girl Saki is just OP throughout, and when you think about it, the story really has nothing to do with Yasuke, whom it's named after. Like, honestly, I think they just used a historical figure that they thought would be relevant in today's current culture climate. The real story revolves around Saki and her powers. The problem is, Saki isn't very interesting, and she never really faces any hardships, nor does she develop as a character. The whole time you'd rather it just be about Yasuke, but even he ends up being a bit boring because we didn't really see enough of his past to ever really care about his sadness and feel that it's justified. All we see of him is that he comes to Japan and his warlord friend was betrayed and then dies. Fast forward 20 years and he's still super depressed about it. It honestly felt like this show was missing a few episodes. All of a sudden they find the person they're looking for, it's the final battle, and somehow Yasuke has this massive army fighting on his side. All the bad guys from the beginning, with the exception of the evil priest man, are all of a sudden redeemed and good guys. It all just felt very rushed. I even went back just to make sure I didn't skip anything. Also, the whole solitary father figure bonding with a powerful child is something we see a lot. We see it in The Mandalorian, which was actually inspired by the excellent Lone Wolf and Cub series, but you never actually hear that. Yasuke is most convincing as someone whom embodies personal convictions. His honor, desire to prevent bloodshed, and for moments when he closes the eyelids of decapitated opponents and he prays. However, Yasuke's high levels of skill also get rid of any sense of stake. The animations are done by Nappa Studio that brought us Attack on Titan, and they bring that same sense of scale here. The music is done by the Grammy-nominated Flying Lotus, and they do a great job with these mellow electronic beats, and it kinda adds to whenever Yasuke proves himself in combat. Flying Lotus also did the intro song, and it's titled Black Gold, and a lot of people are liking it. It's got a mix of soul and samurai, and actually I found myself kinda looking forward to it before each episode. The outro is also pretty good. It's called Between Memories, and it's a really nice chill song. So I'm gonna have to check out more of Flying Lotus. So if there are any good things about this series, I guess it would have to be the animation and music. It actually looks really good, and the music makes you feel something. But take that all away and you're left feeling nothing. This series should never have been created this way. It was a cheap attempt at cashing in on an interesting character and just throwing some fatty woke tropes that are just gonna be outdated soon anyway. The show's main message is all about change being good and tradition bad, but not all change is good, and some things need to be preserved. I really can't recommend this show to anyone, just because you could find these same tropes in any series anywhere. If you want to know about Yasuke, there's plenty of books you could read and YouTube videos on him. I was really just hoping for a series about real Yasuke and not some alternate reality with robots and magic. Yasuke is a really interesting historical figure, and it would be nice one day to have a more historical account about his life. You'd think Netflix would try a little harder to regain some of the samurai fans that hated Age of Samurai, but I guess not. Hopefully one day Netflix just proves to everyone that they're into historical accuracies, but we probably won't ever see that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to support my Patreon to help this channel grow. Thank you.